Week 4. What's up, everybody? It's Big Mike back again with Week 4 of the Ragsdale Rumble, brought to you by the Herb and Raj podcast. I am joined, as always, by the two stars of the show up there above me, Herb and Raj. Raj, we'll start with you first. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastically. I'm doing okay.
Herb,
I'm doing
Herb, you good?
fantastically splendid on this beautiful Wednesday evening. Mike, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm
Doing
sorry,
well.
Raj.
Did
I
you-
didn't realize
did you
you were
make sure-
talking. My bad.
I was going to say, did you make sure you had dinner? Do we need to pause this and come back after dinner?
Apparently,
no.
you didn't eat. I don't know. And what was that? What were you just?
I was making sure you ate because obviously Herb didn't eat. I was making sure you've eaten
I haven't eaten
because
yet.
I know the
no.
answer for that.
I had to go run an errand, but I'll eat afterwards.
Raj,
But
I
what,
apologize. I didn't realize you were
Okay.
talking.
what was that? What were you eating, or what was that?
Reese's peanut butter cup. I think pumpkins, maybe.
He's
It
been
is that
eating those
time.
since oh my gosh, he's been addicted to those since like forever, for decades.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just waiting
Ever
on
since
the
war.
Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes to come out. That's the ones I'm addicted to.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And they're so good. But
like
we do have Herb, who is hopefully now well full.
Nourished.
Got some sustenance in you there, buddy. How you doing tonight? Now that you've eaten, hopefully you're not
I'm
hangry.
good. Like, again, I kind of zone out whenever Raj is talking, so I didn't even realize he was talking. So, totally my bad. I'm just not sorry.
All right, we will get right into it, and hopefully it is week 4. And as you'll see by the first slide, the scoreboard, maybe you should listen more when you're picking games to Raj, and maybe you guys you'd have a better score because Raj is leading 13-8 to 12-9. It is only a one
Mike,
point.
can I
lead.
say something right
Mike,
quick?
Mike up here talking like it's a 15-game lead or something.
Mike, Can I say something right quick?
Of course, yes, sir.
At this time, I just want to make the formal announcement that I'm going to go ahead and retire from the Ragsdale Rumble. I'm up 13-8. He's down 12-9. I want to go out on top. I don't want to suffer like I did last year. So listen, I'll complete the end of the show for entertainment purposes, for our viewers, for our followers, everything like that. But this doesn't count, and I won for this year, and I just want the record to show that.
So I do feel like I need to inform you, if you decide to retire and we cannot find a replacement, you will forfeit the remaining games the rest of the season, which means Herb will automatically win. You must complete the season out before you retire. Otherwise, you will forfeit the remaining games.
Could you imagine if this strategy worked in other places? Like, you're up at halftime against Georgia, and you're just like, hey, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and call
but
it.
Could you imagine being a fan at that game though? You'd be like, wait, they're not coming out at the second half? Like, oh my god.
Well, to be fair, I thought, and I think I even texted you guys this, that maybe Tennessee didn't need to play the second half of that last game last week.
They did
because they were up 60 something at half.
Yeah.
So I guess there are instances where a team should be able to quit and just say, all right, let's just call it for the mercy of the other team, sort of. But this is definitely not a situation like that because, as Herb said, it is only a 1-point game, and there is still a whole lot of weeks left in college football. Thank God we're only on week 4. We still have plenty of season left. And again, plenty of games left to do. We do have 8 games tonight. We will have a short recap kind of last week. On Friday, Herb, you actually took the lead. You had Kansas State over Arizona going up 1. Memphis came back and pulled Raj even. So it was a tie game this week.
About the K-State game, someone in the chat kept trying to text and tell us that they had not actually picked Arizona. And it was the weirdest thing.
Was I in the group chat, or was this just you and your Mike's group chat?
It was just me, Mike, and someone else.
Okay.
Who we won't, we won't shame that person.
I'm not trying to be nosy. That's y'all's business, so y'all figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it did end up as an even week. It was a tie, which, with Raj being ahead last week, it does remain the same going into this week. And gentlemen, are you ready to pick some games for this week?
Yo.
Somewhat.
All right, here we go. First game, 11 a.m. It is the battle for last place in the SEC, what seems like. Florida leaving the swamp for once, actually traveling up to Starkville, Mississippi to play Mississippi State. Florida is somewhat surprisingly favored by 6. I guess really not surprising because Mississippi State hasn't looked much better.
Yeah.
Rod, you're in the lead. You're up first. Who do you have and why?
Oh, honestly, I think you kind of pointed out the reason why I'm picking Florida. Mississippi State is coming off the whooping of a really dominant Toledo team. Both teams are looking pretty bad this year. I think Florida mixed up both of their quarterbacks. Obviously, Mertz started last week. Then they put in Lagway at some point. Both ended up throwing interceptions. Neither of them looked good. I just think Florida is the better of the bad teams here in this case, and I think Florida is going to get the winning cover. But if Mississippi State won, I guess it would bother me because I'm picking Florida, but I don't care. These two teams are just going downhill. So,
all right, Herb.
No, I agree. It's like before the Toledo game, this might have been like a trendy, like, oh yeah, maybe Mississippi State gets them. Yeah. And then you get whooped by Toledo and you just look bad. So it's like, it's not that Florida's the better team, it's just they're the team that's not as bad as the other team.
Right.
But Mississippi State has looked pathetic. If you're Florida, man, I'm Florida. I'm trying to run this score up. Napier trying to save his job a little bit. I would like any scores they can get, onside kicks, reverse flea flickers, whatever you got.
You just want to show that your program still has some life in your program. That's really all you want to do right now. So,
Mike, did you pick Mississippi State for this game?
In our preseason, I did not. I actually said Florida. This was one of the 2 wins that I thought Florida would have.
Okay.
Well, hey, they better put everything they got into this one.
Because this is, I think, it's either next week or 2 weeks from now is the UCF game that I mentioned. And I actually said it to somebody on Twitter that I think Gus Malzahn may be using that as a job interview when he comes in to play Florida with UCF, trying to get back into the SEC. So, but yeah, this is definitely one of the ones I had them because obviously I thought the same thing you guys that Mississippi State, while, are not very good, I think Florida may be a little bit better than they are. So,
right.
All right. And nothing more to say on that one. But I will say, and I say nothing more to say right as I say something else, which is classic Mike. It is interesting how far we've come that we're talking about a game for the worst spot in the SEC, and Vanderbilt isn't in the game.
It's
so
mentioned,
that I don't know if that says more about these two teams or more about Vanderbilt, but I guess we'll find out. Next up, we've got again another perennial bad team this year. In Florida State, who has Cal coming in. Cal coming off a big win in Auburn in SEC country, talking about teams that lost. Anytime we get to mention Auburn losing is always a good thing. And oddly enough, even though Cal is undefeated and Florida State is winless, Florida State is actually favored by 2.5. Herb, who do you have and why?
And Cal, actually, they did have a game in between. They did get to go back home and beat up on San Diego State last week, and then they're coming back out.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that. So.
Yeah, as much as okay, I'm one giving the reason. Sorry, man. But as much as we would love to always mention the Auburn beatdown, this is the line is just crazy to me. I'm still mad. Last week, I listened to a Florida State podcast this year, and he picked Memphis, and I was like, Florida State will get right. And then it didn't happen. I'm like,
I picked Memphis too.
No, I should have picked Memphis. Like, that was just ridiculous. Yeah. So I just don't know that there's anything in there that makes me think Florida State gets right. I wouldn't be shocked if DJU finally gets pulled in this game. And I got to go with Cal. Like, I can't put my faith in Florida State.
All right, Raj?
I'm going with Cal too. I think they have the better running back room. I know their starter Ott may be a little injured. I'm not sure if he's going to start, but I even heard that his backup is pretty good too. And I also saw somewhere today where I was doing a little research, and Cal's QB has like a 70% completion rate, which is obviously the opposite of what DJU has. And to Herb's point from earlier, like, if they start DJU, we know Florida State's probably going to lose. They're not going to put up a lot of points. And then if they start him, that's also saying a lot about their 2 backups, that they're really that bad that they won't even get a shot to go in the game. With that being said, I just don't want to put any more. I put faith in Florida State for the first 2 games in the season. They didn't bounce back. I picked Memphis last week. I don't have any faith in them until they change quarterback, and I don't see that happening yet. I haven't heard anything, at least. I'm going to go with Cal in this game.
Yeah.
And to be fair, go ahead.
No, sorry. I apologize, Mike. To be the Florida State podcast had a 2-part series this week on is Florida State the worst offense in college football, and then the third part after that, the very next one is naming the 2 backup quarterbacks and imploring the team to play them both. That does not give you any confidence.
I just at this point, I just don't see why you would not give one of them a shot. I don't understand it. You've seen what DJU can and cannot do, more like what he can't do. Just give him a shot and see how the offense goes. If you have to run the ball and become a run dominant team, then so be it. But they can't be any worse than what he's doing right now.
Correct.
And to be fair, we weren't going to pick this game. It wasn't in the original lineup, just for kind of behind the scenes for the fans. Until I saw the line of Florida State being favored and being winless. So at that point, I felt compelled to put it in there and have you guys talk about it, just because I thought it was so weird. And if we had a better stats department, aka me, that was able to look up more, I'd find out how many teams were winless against an undefeated team and still favorites. But I can't do that much research. I'm not that smart.
First off, I disagree. Mike is that smart.
Mike is smart. He comes up with the fun facts every week too.
There will be no Mike slander on this show. Okay.
Look, no Mike and as far as the fun facts, I will say Google is free. But that's all I'll say on that one. But yeah, I doubt we pick any more Florida State games this year, especially if they lose this one. The only thing I would. Yeah, but Colorado came back, so we'll get to them in a minute. Maybe coming up. But my only real question is for this game is if FSU loses like you guys predict, do they try to put Norvell in like a carry-on and send him back to Cal with the team just to get rid of him? Or do you think he makes it another week or two?
He makes it another week or two.
I think he makes it another week. I think if will he be on like a hot seat or something like that somewhere throughout the season? Possibly, yes, if he's not already. But one question, like whenever you come to coaching changes, like I guess you have to ask yourself, like, who would we get to replace him? Who would be the interim coach? And long-term, who would be a better fit? And I just feel like right now he's just in a really, really bad situation because his QB is horrible. And he just needs to make some changes there. And plus they were supposed to have a really, really good season because they got all these players from the transfer portal. But we've even alluded to the fact that even when you get players from the transfer portal, everybody's got to gel together, got to work out together, the team has to become, get together a little bit and become one on the field, but they just haven't done that. And again, the quarterback play is pretty bad this season. So until we make a change there, I don't know how many games Florida State's going to win.
I'll say this, Raj. He went and got DJU though, so that still has to fall on him. Yeah. So it's not like it's not like he's an NFL coach and the GM signed him. He picked this person.
I didn't think DJU after 3 years. I didn't think he would look like this. Like, no, it's been pretty bad.
DJ Luke and looking like DJ.
No.
Mike,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That one.
My bad. My bad. Maybe this one will be better. Did I do that?
Oh no.
Do you feel like we're rubbing off on Mike in all the wrong ways?
I think we are.
Mike was so much better before he met us.
Yeah, he was.
We're just dragging him. We apologize to everyone listening.
Hey, look.
Sorry about that,
guys. If there's no Mike slander, there's no Herb and Raj slander either. We're not going to be doing that. But we will move on to the next game because I know we've got a few more games to pick.
We both paused when you said.
Oh God.
Okay.
Coming up on another could be interesting game. You have Iowa traveling into Minnesota. Iowa still favored by 2.5. This is the third game, as I lost track from our commentary. Raj, who do you got and why?
I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think their defense is looking good. They're coming off two, back-to-back shutout victories, even though they played Nevada and Rhode Island. Still, defense obviously played pretty good. Pretty good at those games.
Why did you say that with a straight face?
Iowa's only loss this year was to their one decent opponent they played, which is Iowa State. I think Minnesota has the number 5 defense in the nation. And they're second in the country with interceptions. So I'm going to go with Minnesota and their defense to kind of win this game. And they're at home.
All right. Herb?
This is going to be a snooze fest of a game. It's interesting that Raj threw in the interceptions because I don't know that Iowa's going to throw the ball enough to get any interceptions. The punters will be, probably no practice for them this week. They just need to get all the rest that they can. Whoever can flip the field the most and get a field goal somewhere in here. I don't even know if this is an anti. I'm just gonna go with Iowa. So maybe I should do the dance.
Yes, do the dance.
Anti-Raj pick.
So
I'm going with Iowa.
So, question, Herb, are you going to pay attention to this game now since we both picked opposing teams? Or are you going to?
I don't know that I can do that. I don't. First off, there's nothing to pay attention to. Some games that we do, Raj, we like pay attention to the score. You might flip over, right? This is a game you could flip over to every 30 minutes, and you might still have the same score, right?
Yeah.
First person to double digits probably wins this game. So if I'm looking over and the score is 10-7, I'm like, well, it's over, I guess. So. This
game comes on at the same time as another game that we're probably going to discuss later on too. So this won't be the big game of the night, but just curious. I feel like this game might get a little TV time from her, might get a little love from her. So
what? I got to go see what else is on because there's just no way it's 30 that this is somehow I'm watching.
Wait, you mean game day's not in Minnesota this week?
Wow, game day probably can't even find Minnesota, so I doubt it. There's got to be.
All right, there we go. We have honestly, I think this is our first anti-brother pick in like 2 or 3 since week 1. I don't think the last 2 weeks you guys have had
games I would rather watch than this one. SEMO versus SIU. Not even sure who both those teams are, but that's one. AAMU versus Austin P. Yeah, I assume that's Southeast Missouri and Southern Illinois. Weber State, Northwestern. That's fine there. Up Tennessee and Oklahoma, 6:30. There you go, an actual game. I'd also rather watch Akron and South Carolina, Bowling Green versus Texas A&M.
Okay, let's move on. This is getting ridiculous.
Oh, okay. I'm just making
we got it.
Yeah, okay, we understand.
Did I go too far?
Too far? And maybe a little. It's okay. But much like Herb in this game, Saturday at 6:30, we will move on to something better. As Herb has mentioned previously. You do have Colorado having Baylor University come in. It is 7:00 in Boulder. Colorado. This line has actually moved quite a bit. It started out at like 1 for Colorado, then it went to like 2.5, and now it's back to 1. And all of these lines, if you guys are wondering, because you may get them at different services, these are all ESPN bet lines. Just because again, I'm too lazy to go to a bunch of different sites and lose them, and then ESPN's where I get all the games from. So. If you're looking at the line and it's different, you can blame ESPN for that. So thank you there. But it has settled at 1.5 for Colorado. And again, it is in Boulder. And I think, Herb, you're up first on this one. Who do you have and why?
I really didn't want to go first on this one because this was a classic. I'm going to go the opposite of whatever Raj takes. Baylor, decent, I guess, is your Tarleton State, whatever that is. I guess that's actually a state somewhere, 51st state. Lose to Utah, do knock out Cam Rising, I guess, in that game. So the game is kind of ugly to the end. Beat Air Force. We all know Colorado struggles is well documented. The line is probably in the right spot. It being in Colorado makes me want to lean towards Colorado, but I feel like Raj is going to take Colorado. So I'm going to take Baylor. But if Raj does take Baylor, I'm going to switch back to Colorado.
I don't know that you can do that. I've already written Baylor down.
Since when can we not switch our picks?
I have no problems with Herb switching if he wants to.
So I take that as you are going to pick Baylor as well?
Right now, he's undecided.
I'm talking to you because you said that you're okay with him switching back. Are you picking Baylor as well with that statement, or are you? I'm sorry, Raj. How do you feel on this game?
Gotcha. First of all, I will say this: I always hate picking Colorado games because I know where my heart leads to, but then then I start thinking about how they play, and I have no idea what type of Colorado team we're going to get. With that being said, I picked Colorado to win this game. Their offense actually showed up last week against the rival Colorado State. Baylor has some questions at the QB position. I think DeQuan Fenton's a little injured, a little beat up. Their backup is Sawyer Robertson. I know Herb's probably thinking Tom Sawyer or some sort of weird nickname. Not sure how good the Sawyer Robertson kid is. Colorado is playing at home. I think their offense turns it up a notch here in this game and kind of gets them the victory. It is going to be a close game, though, with it being Baylor. So I'm going with Colorado. With that being said, Herb is
Oh no, that means Herb can lean back into Baylor.
Yeah. I'll take Baylor, Mike, but I actually maybe for the first time ever liked all of Raj's points, and I'm like, yeah, Colorado's winning this game. Did you hear what that guy said?
But I mean, then it's going to come down to Colorado's offensive line too. Are they going to allow Shedeur to just get manhandled like he did in the Nebraska game? I don't know if that's going to happen because I don't know how good Baylor's defense is. But if their offensive line can protect and give them some time to pass the ball, then I think Colorado can pull this one out. But I don't think it's going to be an easy victory.
All right, there we go. Another head-to-head matchup at 7:00. Again, another head-to-head matchup that's going to be during that Tennessee-Oklahoma game, which you didn't mention it on your list of other games that you would rather watch than Iowa and Minnesota.
Oh, I did.
This one being at 7:00.
Oh, yeah, Tennessee-Oklahoma. I said, there you go.
I'm talking about this game being at 7:00. It could have been included in that list as well because it starts 30 minutes after the other game. So
yeah, I was only going through the 6:30 ones, and they're like a whole slate of unknowns.
I realize. All right, so we will move on to the next game. It is an early game now. We've got to start getting into the ranked teams. You do have ranked number 22, Clemson at home against North Carolina State. And I'll be completely honest, as I was picking this game, I did not expect the line to balloon up to 20.5 because I thought at times North Carolina State has looked pretty good this season. I know they've played some tough competition. They played Tennessee, who we'll talk about later, and Clemson hasn't looked all that great. But I'd already put it out there that we were going to pick it, so we're going to stick with it. Raj, you're up first. Who do you have and why?
I'm going with Clemson. North Carolina State's starting quarterback suffered some sort of injury last week, so they're starting the freshman quarterback, C.J. Bailey. Their defense is pretty bad. I think coming into the season, we thought North Carolina State was going to pose a pretty good defense, but they're ranked like 108th in the nation, allowing about 31 points a game. Clemson's actually looking much better than they did, I suppose, in week one when they got their butts whipped by Georgia. I think Clemson's trending in the right direction. And if you take a look at Clemson's schedule, they have a chance to maybe finish the season maybe with 2 or 3 losses, which is not bad seeing how they started the season. But with this particular game, I'm riding with Clemson.
All right, Herb?
Yeah, I think this one's Clemson easy. NC State before the year was my pick to upset Tennessee. After a game, I was like, yeah, that's not happening. After the Tennessee game, I was like, this is just bad. I think every year I expect more from NC State than I actually get. And like Roger's point, Clemson has a good chance to right themselves here with the rest of the ACC kind of fumbling around outside of Miami. They still have a great shot at the ACC championship game. So I think it starts here. I think they whoop up on NC State.
All right, there we go. Everybody going with Clemson. Moving on with our ranked matchups, you have USC traveling into Ann Arbor, Michigan to play Michigan 2:30. USC still favored, even though they have to travel across the country to play a conference game, which is still crazy to me. Still favored by 5.5. I think Herb, you're up first on this one. Who do you have and why?
Yeah, I think the line is indicative of how bad Michigan's offense is and how bad they looked against Tennessee. And that's honestly the only thing I really considered when I was looking at it. Michigan has the better defense, but it's like you don't have to be a great defense to slow them down. I think that's what USC will do, and I think they'll score just enough to win this game. And look, I let Mr. U influence me once. I don't even think he watched our video. So that's out the window. I'm going with USC on the road. I agree with you, Mike. It is interesting. The line is where it is. The fact that they're having to travel there and go, whatever. And you still can't convince me that USC is actually in the Big Ten. That's just crazy talk. But in this matter right here, I got to go with USC and the team that I think actually has an offense that can score.
All right, Raj.
Surprisingly, I agree with everything Herb just said. I'm also going to go with USC and their offense. Miller Moss has been looking pretty good this year. On the other side of the ball, on the other side, Michigan, we found out that Davis Warren's being benched. He's thrown about 6 interceptions in 3 games. So they're going to start Alex Orji. From what I've seen from Alex Orji, even going back to last year's Rose Bowl game, he's more of like an athletic, run dominant type quarterback. And with that being said, looking for Michigan to kind of run the ball a little more, but they're not going to be able to counter all of USC's big plays. And so if they get into a shootout with USC is going to win. And so I'm going to go with USC to win the game. And I think USC's run defense is actually a lot better than it was last year too, if I looked at the numbers correctly. So Michigan will keep it close in the first half because their defense is pretty good, but offensively, they're just not going to be able to counter what Miller Moss is going to be able to do. So I got USC covering in this game.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. And to be fair, USC having a better defense last year just means they actually have actual football players run out on the defense instead of like people running in from the stands. Maybe it was the band from back in the day that are still on the field. Who knows?
Who knows?
But we will move on. The next one, a very close ranked matchup, Oklahoma State and Utah. Utah traveling into Oklahoma State and catches a point, Oklahoma State being favored. You mentioned Cam Rising. I don't know if I've officially heard if he's out or if he's going to play. Last time I checked, he was out, but that was a few days ago. I have not seen if he's been updated yet. But with this line being so close, I would imagine at least there's a chance for the line to be this close. Roger up first. Who do you have and why?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Cam Rising either. From what I heard today, it just seems like they're expecting. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that for your pick. They're expecting him to play. That's the report today that came out. So it is expected, but you know what expected means.
They're expecting him to play.
This is another one of those lines that moved as well. And that may be why the line has moved, because it was Oklahoma State by a few more when I looked at it on Sunday. So, and finally, we will let Raj actually do his pick now that we've both interrupted him.
No, you're good. You're good. But even with that being said, Oklahoma State's averaging about 334 yards per game. The offense is looking good. And that's with Ollie Gordon not really having a fantastic year. I think he was like a preseason Heisman favorite. He's only averaging about 3 yards per carry. Utah does have a good run defense, so I don't know if he emerges out of this game. But I think Oklahoma State's air game is what's going to make them cover in the game. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State at home. Again, even if whether Cam Rising plays or not, I'm still taking Oklahoma State.
Yeah. And I think that's where I'm going as well. That's why I checking all the reports. They expect Cam Rising to play. But, once you get that as old as he is, you don't heal up as well or as quickly.
Yeah.
So, it's an injury with his finger on his throwing hand, too. So maybe he's not going to be as accurate. And in the game he got hurt against Baylor, the offense fell off a cliff after he was gone. So if he's not 100%, and I just remember too in the Pac-12, Utah would win, but their road game, they would always just inexplicably lose a road game that they shouldn't. So it just seems like this is the perfect chance for Oklahoma State to win. And also, the psychological fact of everyone kind of picked Utah to win the Big 12, and Oklahoma State's like, hey, we're still here.
We're still here.
So I feel like this is a big matchup for them. I'm taking Oklahoma State in it.
All right, there we go. Everybody with the Cowboys. Last but not least, we'll move on to the marquee game of the week. Number 7, Tennessee hosting number 15, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's first big SEC matchup. Tennessee favored by 7, 6:30 in Knoxville. And I believe, Herb, you're up first on this one. Who do you have and why?
Yeah, so I text our two Oklahoma fans to ask about this game, and I don't know why. I could have sworn it's in Oklahoma, not.
Yeah, I thought it was in Norman.
Is it? Oh, my bad. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not going to have a bearing on my pick. I texted our two Oklahoma fans. That was my research for the game. They both picked Tennessee. I was like, well, that's enough for me. And one of their scores was actually pretty bad. One of them had them winning and barely covering. The other one had them winning by like 24, I think. So that was enough. Tennessee's hot right now. Obviously, their offense is looking good against subpar competition, but a good offense is still a good offense. I haven't seen enough from Oklahoma to make me think that they can go toe to toe. Oklahoma's offenses look terrible this year. They're squeaking by every game. So I got to go with Tennessee. But it's all based on the fact I text two Oklahoma guys and they said, Tennessee. So that was it for me.
All right, Raj.
Yeah, I got Tennessee too. I think Tennessee's coming into this game with like the second-ranked offense in the nation. I think they're right behind Ole Miss. And of course, to Herb's point, Tennessee really hasn't played anybody this year, but they're averaging about, 639 yards per game. Oklahoma's offense is averaging about half of that. Oklahoma's defense has looked pretty good this year, but offensively they just haven't met the match. Tennessee's been firing on all cylinders. Nico looks like apparently he's that guy as far as the quarterback position is concerned. He's making all the right passes. They're running up the score against everybody. I like Tennessee in this game by 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
all right. There we go. Everybody picking Tennessee to win on the road, and that's really what that football there means. I know that normally means the home team, but I think Tennessee is going to win so badly that I think they're going to make Norman, Oklahoma their new home. So that's really why I put that there. Either that, or I just didn't look down at my notes, which has Oklahoma as the home team. So, kids, if you ever want to be in broadcasting, never just read off the teleprompter. Always do your own research. And right now is normally when we would talk about the Alabama game, but guys, I don't know what to do. There's no Alabama game. I help me out. What am I supposed to do on Saturday?
I don't know, man. If you have any family plans, you can go out with the wife, take care of some things, run some errands, and then get back in time. And for around 6:30 to watch the Tennessee-Oklahoma game. But prior to that, it really doesn't look like there's any exciting games coming on any earlier than that.
Depends on what you think of USC
no, USC. I'm sorry. You're right. What time is USC? Is that 2:30 or is that
2:30?
Okay.
Yeah, 2:30.
That could be an interesting game. I don't know how entertaining it's going to be. I don't mind seeing Michigan lose again. So with that, but
well, I mean, you do have 11 o'clock at Florida and Mississippi State. So I mean, there is that juggernaut of a game at 11. So
Herb and I have the same expression. Oh my gosh. I don't even think Florida fans want to go to that game. No. Like, no, I'll pass.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
I wonder if DJ Lagway will start so they can give him a little lead. Anyway, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, you got to come on, Raj.
I mean, you've got to at least you've got to commit to the bit. Come on.
Yes.
Now.
Okay, give DJ a little leeway and I don't even know how to say it anymore. It's not working. I really messed that one up. I screwed that one up.
Oh, it's bad.
That's right.
When you're going for a bad joke and we're encouraging you. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
And that's okay. We will give you a little leeway, unlike what they give DJ Lagway when they pull him in the game. So
Mike,
we still love you, even though
that's a good segue.
There you go.
Now we went too far.
and with that, I will say, hopefully, everybody has a great Saturday.
Yes.
If you can't find a good game to watch, you can always go back and watch the replay of Alabama beating Wisconsin last weekend. That's always a good one to go to. It was a really good game from them. And we look forward to the Georgia game coming up in 2 weeks, guys. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about the Georgia game right now? Anything coming up for you guys?
Too early. Don't want to jinx anything, but we'll definitely cover it on the podcast and then some more Royal Rumbles and stuff like Royal Rumbles, Ragsdale Rumbles and everything else. But too early to talk about it right now.
So apparently nobody got where I was going with that, so it wasn't a very good segue. Be sure to tune in. There are a couple special shows the next couple of weeks with these two guys above me with some Georgia previews. You have the normal Tuesday show. You also have 2 Thursday shows coming up in the next week. Looking forward to Georgia next Saturday. So make sure if you're watching this, you subscribe to the Herb and Raj podcast to make sure you don't miss any of those or any of these videos. So we really appreciate you guys watching. Hope everybody has a great Saturday of mediocre football with no Alabama and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, everybody.